Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gemma and today I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag. So if you're unfamiliar with what the end of the year book tag is, it is just a handful of questions that sort of sums up where I'm at, what the plans are for the end of the year, that sort of gubbins. So let's just get into the questions. And the first question is quite apt because it is, are there any books that you started this year that you need to finish? And yes, there is one in particular, and that is A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth, which I started way back in February, maybe March, and alas, I'm still reading it. In my defence, it's like one of the longest books ever written in the English language. It's like 1,500 pages, and I'm about 950 pages in, so about two-thirds of the way through. So yeah, I've got about 600 pages left to go, and I would really like to get that crossed off my currently reading because it has been on there a very long time. I am enjoying it, but it is just very long. So yes, I'm still chipping away at it and I will continue to do so and get that finished before 2025 arrives. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition you into the end of the year? And when I wrote out the questions for this tag, I still had Horrorstor to read by Grady Hendrix, which is the FOMO book club pick for September and October. I'll leave details of the FOMO book club below if you'd like to join, and I have now read that. So that was a good book to transition. But I have got another book out from the library on my Libby app, The Burial Plot. I can't remember the name of the author, but the book cover will be here and it will be detailed in the description box. I'm not entirely sure what it's about. I know I read the premise a while ago and I've been wanting to read it. It looks very autumnal, so I think that will also work for this. But yeah, I'm not really a seasonal reader, so I mean those fit, but it's more luck rather than judgment, you know? Next question, is there a new book still to be released that I'm anticipating? And this was quite difficult because originally I thought my answer was no to this, but then I realised there is one that I've had my eye on that is still not released. It's due to be released on the 7th of November, and that's Hum by Helen Phillips. This sounds great, it's sort of sci-fi, post-apocalyptic vibes. A woman and her family go on like a retreat to like a green area, and hums are like robots that inhabit this futuristic world, and I think things happen and the mother, the protagonist of the story, has to rely on one of these hums to save her family, I think. Broadly, that's what I got from the synopsis, but it sounds really interesting, and yeah, I've not read Helen Phillips before, so that sounds quite fun, so I'd like to get to that. The next question is, what are 3 books you'd like to get to before the end of the year? And this is quite difficult, and it's linked to one of the other questions later, because I am sick of TBRs. I'm just not feeling them. So I have 3 books for you that right now, as of today, I think I would really like to pick up soon. But to be honest, if my mood changes, then I won't read them and I'll read other things. So, yes. But the 3 books are Annie Bot by Greer, which is a sci-fi. Again, clearly I'm in the mood for sci-fi. And it's also about robots. So I have seen many good reviews for this. I think it's about a robot called Annie and her interactions with people, but I don't know too much more than that, and I don't want to know too much more going in. I obviously have heard more about it. It got sucked into my brain. I was like, yes, that sounds like a Gemma book, and then it's just died with a lot of other grey matter over the last weeks and months. So but yeah, I'd really like to read that. I'd also like to read The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, which is the last book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I have adored this. It's such a good series. It's sci-fi fantasy, so it's sort of set in an almost post-apocalyptic world. I'm down for apocalypse. And we follow a couple of characters as a 5th season kicks off, which is another apocalyptic episode in this world where everything is ruined and like covered in dust and ash and stuff, and there is a really interesting magic system involved, and yeah, those with magic are very much segregated from humanity and are almost enslaved to a degree. It's kind of it's a little bit of a narrative on racial discrimination really of minorities in general, and it's so cleverly done. And though it's got those sort of almost literary elements to it, it's also really fast paced and just one of those books you don't want to put down. And I really would like to finish the series, so I'd like to read that one before the end of the year also. And then Private Rights by Julia Armfield. So I loved Julia Armfield's first book, Our Wives Under the Sea. She had a new release this year, Private Rights, which I bought like the same week it was published. I've got a signed copy upstairs, but I have yet to get to it. Again, I don't know a lot about it. I kind of want to go in blind because I did that with Our Wives Under the Sea and that served me well. So yes, I really would like to get to that. I think that it also has like end of the year, autumn into wintry vibes. I think it's sort of about sisters and there's some sort of magic, and I think it's supposed to be quite dark and a bit ghosty. So, I mean, that sounds very this time of year, doesn't it? The next question is there a book that could shock you and become your best book of the year? And I know everyone sort of gives the same answer to this, which is like, yeah, any book could win. Like, any book could be my best of the year. And that is true, but I would say it's highly unlikely in my case. I have 2 best books of the year so far, and they are Shogun by James Clavell and Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy, and both books were unbelievably exceptional. I mean, to have read both of those in the same year makes this a very good reading year for me, and I don't see anything else topping that at this point. But again, it depends on what I pick up, right? So I don't know, and what mood I'm in. Who knows? Anything could top it, but I would say unlikely. Those are very good books. If you haven't read them, you're missing out. And then the final question is, have you already started making plans for 2025? So yes, but let's talk about a plan for 2024 first, shall we? So I have been thinking about this for a little while, and I've decided that I'm not going to do TBRs anymore. Or let me rephrase, I'm not going to do TBRs every month. I will do TBRs as and when I feel like it. And so that will probably be for specific readathons dotted through the year. But I mean, if you've been here for a while, you know that I follow a lot of prizes. So I tend to read long lists. But then I chuck a TBR on top of that, and then I feel like I just don't achieve anything that I'm actually trying to achieve. I don't do the TBR, I don't finish the long list, I just like, or short list or whatever it is, because I've just put too much restriction on my reading, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't. So I'm not doing TBRs anymore. I'm going to leave room to read whatever I want. Whatever the fuck I want. So that is what I'm going to do. No more TBRs. Even though I do love making them, but then I feel a certain obligation to at least attempt to complete them, even though I never actually complete them. I still feel like an obligation. So if I have a little bit of space in my reading life, I feel like I should pick up the ones that I've put my TBR, right? So even though perhaps I want to read something else. So I'm not doing TBRs for the foreseeable future, I would say. They might come back. Probably not. And that sort of leads in, so if we talk about prizes, that leads into the next bit. So again, still in 2024, the Nero Prize will be releasing its long lists in November. I think it's November. And it was the first year for the prize last year. Charlie, Brooke and I did a live show at the announcement of the long list, and then I read a couple, I think I DNF'd a couple actually, from the long lists. And yeah, so I'd like to look into that prize a bit more this year. Hopefully I'll have better luck with it. And then continuing into next year and continuing with Charlie, we will be doing the Women's Prize Plod Along again. So we run, would we even call it a read along at this point? It's not really a read along. We run a series of live shows over the course of the Women's Prize season, where we talk to different guests about their experiences with the Women's Prize books. It's a little bit of fun. We tend to have a lot of banter. There's a lot of banter involved, and we will be doing that again, so we will start planning that probably in the next few weeks and months, because the Women's Prize did release their dates for both the non-fiction and the fiction prize recently. So yeah, so we need to get organised and planning for that quite soon. So yes, that will be continuing. I have also signed up for the BookTube prize, and this is the fault of Ange from Ange's Book Chatter. If you don't follow Ange, she is posting videos again, which is very exciting, so I'll leave her channel linked below. But we're in a group chat with a group of other booktubers, and everyone was like, don't do it, you know, you don't want to like have that commitment, and you can't DNF the books. I mean, and we're on a private chat going, should we do it? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just don't tell anyone we're going to do it. So we've both signed up for fiction for the BookTube prize for next year. If you don't know what the BookTube prize is, I will link the sort of call for judges below. But anybody who's involved in the bookish community can be a judge. So just go and sign yourself up. I have done it twice before. I didn't do it this year, but I have done it. I did do it the 2 previous years, and it is just a lot of fun. So yeah, I'll be judging at least one round from the BookTube prize next year. What else have I got planned? Oh, my 40 books before 40. So I have been squirreling away in the background, and I've collated a list of 40 books to read before I'm 40, which is not for another 3 years, just to be clear. But I figured if I was going to read 40 books, I'd need a bit of a run up, right? So I have asked 40 booktubers to recommend me 40 books, and that list is almost complete. So I'm hoping to film that and get that up in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, so I will be working on that list. I also have the scratch list still ongoing as a project. So, and I think that's enough, right? That is enough. I haven't spoken to Scott yet about whether we're doing Misery May next year or not. So watch this space. I'll let you know. I know that we're not doing the past and future readathons, so if you have followed that over the last 3 or 4 years that it's been running, we're not doing that next year. So feel free to commit yourself to all the other readathons that run in January. I think that's it for plans, and I'm going to try and keep it quite low key. I'm not going in for tons of buddy reads. I am just going to try and take a little bit of a step back from doing all of the things all of the time and focusing in. I think the other thing is my work has become extremely busy lately. I've had to pick up an additional arm to my role, which is in fact really just like another full-time job, and it's taken up a lot of time. So I'm just not putting any pressure on the bookish side of things. That's both booktube and reading. So this will be the first video that's gone up probably in about 10 days. Apologies, I'm doing what I can, but sometimes it's just not possible. There are just not enough hours in the day. So yeah, we'll see how that all shakes down. But I'm still here, I'm still ticking along, just very busy. I think that's all of the questions and all of my answers. I would love to know your answers to the questions if you want to leave them below. If you don't want to leave a comment, then I would love for you to leave an emoji. Leave me anything you like, really. I mean, the weirder the emoji that you can find, the better. Just the weirdest emoji you can find would be great. And I will be back very soon with another one. If you wanted to see the books that were on my scratch list for 2024. I will leave that video linked here for you, and I will see you all very soon with another one. Bye guys.